You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. I always get super excited when we're going to bring one of our own on the show, Marcus. And I know you do too, because it's the brotherhood that
Sure.
we're sharing now, right?
Oh, and everything's relative with each other. I mean, because of the background
And the experiences.
and the path he follows. So, I mean, it's kind of one of them deals when he's explaining something.
You can visualize it, you understand it.
Yeah, understand it.
Absolutely.
So those make the best interviews because you're not guessing at stuff. You get what he's saying.
And I also think our fans get fired up about it too, because they love.
Oh, yeah, man.
They love war stories.
Well,
they love
you always hear people
about
all the time. They're like, he never talked about it. He never told us stories. Never got to hear that. And when people tell me that, we're like, oh, my granddad, he never told me. He never talked about it. I'm like, yeah, he did. He just didn't talk about it to you.
Right.
I talked about it to his boys.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I always, from what I heard from my dad and everybody, and then from I guess from the buddies, I mean, you could tell, the look in somebody's eye when you're trying to explain something that was.
And it's just glazed.
Yeah, and I guess if it's not as impactful to them as it is to you when you're telling them that part of the story, I guess gets to, I don't know, it's a good question.
Well, when you think about it, right, it's for us, every detail matters of it, right? The nuance of the friendships, the tragedy of the loss.
Sure, and when you're going through a story like that, everything comes into play. The smell. Yeah,
what kit you wore, what pants you had on.
And it's the mundane details that suck. Something like my right boot was wet the entire time. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? The right boot
and they're
was
looking at you like this
the whole time.
I don't understand why that would be upsetting.
Your boot was wet. That's like, no, I got my boot wet in the beginning of the op. It was miserable. The
8 clicks I had to walk.
Every guy has their one deal, right? If it happens, you're like, dude, God dang it.
Oh, I absolutely, bro, absolutely. And I think that's what the greatest challenge for people that have never been in combat, that they've never been downrange, they've never been through any significant training, but it's also fascinating to them though.
Yeah, when you get to hear from the guys who've joined the military, serving your country, and then going deeper into the military, that's possible, right? And we did it. It's those advanced schools, and you get out of the military what you put into it, hands down. If you talk to somebody who said they didn't have a good time in the military, well, then they didn't really
put as much in it, or didn't create the opportunities for themselves to experience it.
You can go anywhere through the military.
But
it's good hearing from those guys who have gone deep down the rabbit hole in the military and pull those stories to light.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. So when we've got one of those guys, we've got a guest coming on today. Nicholas Irving, the Reaper, all right, one of the most prolific snipers out there over the last in the war on terror. I mean, this guy is a consummate badass, man, and his story of what he's sharing today, I can't even imagine what it's going to be, bro. I mean, he's been there, he's done it, he's seen it all. So
he trucked up there in Helmand.
That's what he writes in the book and all that. But
there's a couple of towns when you drop that name, Fallujah, Ramadi, Helmand.
Oh, I know. Day Raoub.
All right, you were there.
That's all
I needed to know, right?
Yeah.
If you hear a dude from that, you're like, all right, yep, you're solid.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting him on. But listen, if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. We're super fired up to have you. Marcus and I are, this is our passion in life. Our new mission is to help you understand what it takes to live with the never quit mindset. We love doing this. We're rapidly becoming, one of the top podcasts out there. We just got nominated to be one of Apple iTunes 2016 top podcasts, and for that, we're super fired up.
Oh, thank y'all.
Yeah,
thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man.
It is.
It is awesome. So
I've been talking about it for a couple of days now. I'm like, man, that was really cool.
But half the year, and we made it up there, brother.
Yeah.
So that's big time. So thank all of you. If you want to know more about us and why we're doing it, all the other shows, please visit our website at tnqpodcast.com. And then check out the Team Never Quit website. You can follow both Marcus and I on all the social media. It's at Marcus Luttrell or at Team Frog Logic. All right, so what we want to talk about now that I thought or Wizard thought would be appropriate for this particular episode is our historical story, or person, I should say. Now, you and I have both been big fans of this guy since, I first heard about him when I first got in, started reading about Vietnam and who the pipe hitters were at that time. And so who we want to talk about today is Carlos Whitefeather Hathcock. Oh, Carlos Hathcock, who prior to our good friend Chris, or your good friend Chris, I knew him just a little bit, but prior to Chris was the most prolific sniper in American history. Now, Carlos was born 1942, lived till 1999, where he died of MS in Little Rock, Arkansas, was a Marine Corps sniper. Two tours of Vietnam, 1966 and 69, 93 confirmed kills. Personal estimate of 300 to 400, including unconfirmed. I mean, that right here is the real story.
He pinched that whole NVA regiment that time with just capping the guys at the ends. Every time somebody's standing, just at the ends, right?
Yeah.
Kept them laid down.
I mean, that's remarkable. When you think about that, it's insane. All right, the Viet Cong and the NVA called him the Tu Kai Long Trang. Is that right? Tu Kai Long Trang, which means white feather sniper, because of the white feather he kept in the band on his bush hat. His primary rifle was a Winchester Model 70 30-06.
30-06, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now there's a truckload of stuff out there. One of the interesting quotes that I wanted to talk about is, he says, "I didn't really like the killing," he once told a reporter. "You'd have to be crazy to enjoy running around the woods and killing people. But if I didn't get the enemy, they were going to kill the kids over there. And saving Americans' lives is what Hathcock truly wanted to do." Now, Chris said the same thing, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. What's Hemingway's quote? "There is no hunting like the hunting of a man. Those who have hunted armed men long enough and liked it never really find pleasure in hunting something else." Did
you just throw Hemingway out there?
Yeah,
that's epic.
That's one of
the biggest quote ever. Yeah.
Right. So the whole time I was reading over this and you were talking about this, because we got buddies who come down and I take hunting, right?
Right.
And then when you watch them hunt, they're actually killing. I was a hunter before, so
right.
the passion is in the hunt, the stalk.
Right.
Taking another man's life is
completely different frame of mind.
Altogether, and you can tell, like I said, when I'm out with my buddies, man, when you ask them about, like, hey, how was the hunt, and they just talk about the end part of it. Well, if you talk to most people who deer hunt or something like that, it's all about the prep, getting into the stand, waiting the whole time. Then when the animal actually comes, watching it and studying it, that kind of deal.
Yeah,
that's the passion in it. And then one shot, one kill, no suffering, put it on the ground and harvest it. And it says a lot about a man who doesn't like killing other men, but is proficient at it.
It says a truckload about him, and that's what I find so fascinating about this guy. He, in a very difficult environment to do that. I mean, this guy became so good that the North Vietnamese actually put a bounty of $30,000 on Hathcock's head. Right? I mean, that's hardcore when they're putting bounties on your head because you're so good at what you do.
Man, look, if you're and I thought about this with Chris, man.
Right.
When you're in a war and the entire country has strapped a nickname on you. You know what I'm talking about?
I know, I don't. I've never had that.
You're doing your job. I mean, you're doing your job. Wow. Devil over Mahdi. I mean, Whitefeather. I mean, that's
pretty badass.
Epic. I heard a story about Hathcock one time. He was training a sniper course. Man, he was in a shooting jacket, and he has all these scars and everything from. I think he was pulling some guys out of an APC or something like that.
Right.
And got burned up.
Yep.
And he was so focused. Well, I guess one thing he could do real well is switch. When he turned his switch on, he wouldn't come out of it till he pulled the trigger, right? And that was if everything was burning. If he was on fire, he just wouldn't come out of it. That's total Zen kind of deal. And they would say that he'd lean into that jacket, he was in the sitting position so hard that he would rip those scars. You start seeing
blood come through his jacket. I mean, think about that,
man,
dude.
That's hardcore.
That's super hardcore. I love it. Now, here's an interesting story about that's out there that we found that we thought would be cool to read, and it's called Killing the Cobra. One of Hathcock's most famous accomplishments was shooting the enemy sniper through the enemy's own rifle scope, hitting him in the eye and killing him. Hathcock and John Roland Burke, his spotter, were stalking the enemy sniper in the jungle near Hill 55, the fire base from which Hathcock was operating, southwest of Da Nang. The sniper, known only as the Cobra, had already killed several Marines and was believed to have been sent specifically to kill Hathcock. When Hathcock saw a flash of light reflecting off the enemy sniper scope in the bushes, he fired at it, shooting through the scope and killing the enemy sniper. Surveying the situation, Hathcock concluded that the only feasible way he could have put the bullet straight down the enemy scope through his eye would have been if both snipers were zeroing in on each other at the same time, and Hathcock just happened to fire first. Given the flight time of rounds at long ranges, the snipers could have simultaneously killed one another. Hathcock took possession of the dead sniper's rifle, hoping to bring it home as a trophy. But after he turned it in, tagged it, and it was stolen from the armory. What a story, man. I mean, think about that. Think about the way events come together.
Right. But the heavy part of that is that sniper was doping in on him.
Oh, he's ready. He could have
coming in on top of him. That's the only way that fight, meaning those scopes were parallel with each other.
Yeah, they went boom, and because had it been any other time in the day,
some pucker factor right there.
Any other time in the day, the sun not exactly in the right place where it flashed that glass, he would have been dead.
Just goes to show you how squared away that dude was, man. He had tracked Hathcock down.
He got into Hathcock. I mean, that dude must have been awesome. But that's what the game of sniping, right?
Chess right there.
The chess, and it's, I shouldn't call it a game because it's not a game when you're out there doing that stuff. But, for metaphorical purposes.
Deadliest game.
It's the deadliest game there is. And to get against somebody who is as proficient as you are, or I guess almost as proficient as you are in this case, is pretty remarkable. You know what I mean? Wow.
Right.
And then there's other amazing stories about him killing the NVA general, right? I want to talk about this one right now. And this is the one he describes as the best shot he ever made. And it was the killing of
Hanoi Jane, right? Or
it was killing of the female sniper, Apache. Here you go. This quote. She was a bad woman. Carlos Hathcock once said of the woman known as Apache, normally kill squads would just kill a Marine and take his shoes or whatever. But Apache was very sadistic. She would do anything to cause pain. That was the trademark of the female Viet Cong platoon leader. She captured Americans in the area around Carlos Hathcock's unit and then tortured them without mercy. I was in her backyard, she was in mine. And I didn't like that, Hathcock said. It was personal, very personal. She's been torturing Marines before I got there. In November 1966, she captured a Marine private and tortured him within an earshot of his own unit. She tortured him all afternoon, half the next day, Hathcock recalls. I was by the wire. He walked out, died right by the wire. Apache skinned the private, cut off his eyelids, and removed his fingernails, and then castrated him before letting him go. Hathcock attempted to save him, but it was too late. Carlos Hathcock had enough. He set out to kill Apache before she could kill any more Marines. One day, he and his spotter got a chance. They observed the MBI sniper platoon on the move. At 700 yards, one of them stepped off the trail, and Hathcock took what he calls the best shot he ever made. We were in the midst of switching rifles. We saw them, he remembered. I saw a group coming, 5 of them. I saw her squat to pee. That's how I knew it was her. Then tried to get her to stop, but she didn't stop. I stopped her. I put one extra in her for good measure. I tell you what, man, it's just, you start the process, when you start getting up there and you start getting good at it. What an amazing skill set and what an invaluable asset to your unit that you have that.
Oh, you don't even realize how important it is till you're on the other end of it. until a sniper has you pinned down and you realize how demoralizing that is.
Right.
When a round comes in, dude gets popped right next to you and you don't have any idea where it just came from. You can't hide anywhere. You know what I mean? Just start moving.
Yeah.
Imagine the NBA, man, when they knew this guy got on top of you, he was still coming, right? He's wearing you down. Somebody else is going down. He'd stack them up like cordwood, man.
And that's powerful. And it is about the demoralization of the enemy. I mean, some people out there say, sniping's not honorable, sniping's not this, and all that. I go, you never been to war.
Man, I mean, you go out there by yourself. You've taken the solemn vow to step away from your boys to protect them, to go out there on your own. You're hanging it out there. You got to carry all that weight that goes with it. Mental and moral baggage,
the psychological
weight you got to carry with it. How can you? I mean, those are our most honorable men that go out and do that.
I believe you're right. I mean, they really understand, the battlefield perspective, the different.
They see it.
They watch
and
it.
They have to watch it. Yeah.
And that's the patience involved.
Everybody. I mean, it's easy to get caught up house to house, door to door. That's what you.
But it's so kinetic, right? That's so exactly. Kinetic, and it's explosive, and it's the energy and the adrenaline. With this, man, you have to manage all that for so long.
That's kind of how you break up the monotony of laying there time and time again. Is that whole protocol of watching the war,
right?
So the perspective of a sniper is broad.
It is broad. Well, let's try and narrow it down right now, and let's bring on our incredible guest. Army Ranger sniper extraordinaire, Mr. Nicholas Irving. Let's get him on the show, shall we? I am telling you what, anytime that you get around a Ranger, anytime you get around a man that has gone to the dark side, if you will, and that's the Army, that's the Rangers, that's everything you're part of. It changes a man. It changes him into it changes him into a professional, right?
Yeah.
And anytime that you can be around somebody who is a professional, really top level at what they do, it makes you better, especially when they're cool as hell. So it is an honor, brother, to welcome the Reaper, Nick Irving, to the show, man. Thanks for coming on, Nick.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right, so I don't know if you've gone back and gotten a wild hair, going, but maybe you've listened to how we start these things off. But so what we do is Marcus and I will throw a mad minute out at you.
I can't openly admit to watching, listen to a podcast from two Navy guys. So we won't even put him on the
spot for that. Good point. Check, Roger. I belay my last. All right. So what we do to get warmed up, to start, softening up that gray matter upstairs, Nick, is we're going to throw a little mad minute at you. Now, we're going to go a little alternating rapid fire at you. We're going to get the mod deuce of psychological expansion going on you. And we're going to see what some of the craziest answers you got in that brain of yours is. So are you ready to go?
Got it. Craziest answers. Ready.
Well, normal, which is crazy for us. So, all right, Marcus, fire away.
All right, brother. Favorite superhero?
Superman.
Thank you. No Hulk. No Spider-Man.
Hulk's pretty cool, though. Hulk's pretty cool.
Right? That's who Goggins loves. Yeah. Goggins. Yeah.
Hulk's pretty cool.
Goggins. All right. You ready? What's one skill that you would like to have that you currently don't?
Oh, wow. One skill that I like to have that I currently don't. Oh, man. Being a gourmet chef.
Oh, cool. I like that. That's super cool.
Makes sense.
Smart.
Right?
You got to eat, man. You got to eat.
Might as well eat well.
Figures.
Exactly.
Rangers were always good at making those MREs into something that was
Ranger cookbook, dude. Ranger cookbook.
I didn't really know that existed until I was going through Delta.
Same as me. That first time out behind in the woods, and one of the Rangers, a guy from Somalia, was like, "Dude, why are you eating it like that?" He goes, and I'm like, "Oh, this is good."
The gourmet meal, man. That's where you learn. Ranger school is where it starts out at.
So I'd go over there when we were on the field. I just hunker over there next to
right next to her. Hey, man, you gonna eat that?
Yeah, I got extra. First car.
First car, it was a Saturn, a green Saturn.
Nice.
4 or 2?
4.
Mm-hmm.
4. Gotta go big or go home, man.
Yeah. Saturn. Awesome. My C Daddy drove one of those. Same color, the green
one.
one.
TV inside that thing too. It was legit, man.
Yeah,
that is square. All right, last question. Go ahead, bud.
All right, sing a song as good as the artist who sings it. Halftime Super Bowl. Which song would it be?
Lady Gaga, Star Spangled Banner, maybe?
Yeah, dude. I did not expect that at all.
You did rock that song, though.
Best ever, dude.
Yeah.
Best ever.
Lady Gaga.
Best ever.
Yeah,
Gaga.
Gaga. We're going to try and get her on, by the way. All right. So, next thing. What is your... Oh, here's a better one. Have you ever felt invincible?
Yes.
When?
After getting the tambourine and my first deployment in Ranger Battalion.
Awesome.
That is when you feel...
Yeah, mighty. When that thing first goes...
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep.
Tink,
And then it quickly changes thereafter.
Sure.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Shortly after, right?
Oh, yeah.
That first snap.
Yeah,
Right?
the next morning with the hangover, it's like, oh, yep.
New guy, get in here.
Yeah, haircut, check the watch bill. All right, play out a movie character in real life. Who would it be?
Oh, wow. John Wick.
Oh, my God, yes.
John Wick.
Tim Kennedy was on recently with us, and he knows all the dudes that trained him. And, and do you know those guys?
Yeah, I shot down there with Terran Tactical.
Yeah.
Terran Tactical. I shot down there, shot the same course of fire that he shot. Really, really good course of fire, man.
And
that dude's legit. I'd be scared to go up against him in a gunfight. Maybe. It'd be iffy.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Because he is 50, Nick, and if you got beat by... he
looks legit, though, man.
I need distance, man. Distance, I'm good.
What'd you say, Mark?
What are you talking about, man? We'll be standing off that dude. He wouldn't even know it's coming. He looks legit. And when he does he goes to his offhand when they're in that bathhouse. I didn't catch that in the beginning. And I was watching it one time. It used to be my going to sleep movie until Melanie.
Just bizarre.
But,
Until she wanted all the serial killer episodes.
But him going to that offhand, those guys who had to hold him, they
did a great job. All right, last question. What is your greatest failure in life?
Greatest failure in life. Oh, man. My first startup company. Greatest failure in life. Taught me a lot about, I guess, starting up businesses and stuff like that. Customer service and all that. So greatest failure would be the first startup company.
Oh, brother, I've started 7 businesses, failed at 6 of them.
There you go. Yeah, I think I've done 4 now, and I've done 5. Failed at 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Find the one you're most passionate about, and that's the one that'll work, dude.
Exactly.
Hard to figure out how good you're doing if you never failed at anything.
Right?
Yep.
Right? All right, so that's the Mad Minute. We like to stretch the time as we typically do. But the real reason why people are on this show and why they're tuning in, and especially tuning in to you, Nick, is because they want to be better. They want to face adversity. They want to overcome the obstacles. And there is an amazing respect for you out there in this world, including from us. And so if you could you share with our listeners your greatest never quit story?
Oh, yeah, man, definitely. It's nothing like Marcus's, story or anything like that, which mad respect to Marcus. I was getting in battalion just as that mission went down. And as of recent, got a chance to see Lone Survivor, which is by far one of the best military war movies that I've ever seen. When it comes to the action portion of it, that was as close to combat as you possibly could get, and realistic. And I can really relate to that story. So mine would have to be in Helmand Province, Afghanistan, 2009. Went on a reconnaissance mission. It was me and 5 other guys. We had me, my sniper, spotter, and we had 4 other reconnaissance guys, Rangers. Sent out on a 5-day operation, man, and to go track down this HVT, a high-value target. One of my first, cool guy missions that I've ever done, where you operate those really, really small teams. So you get that really, really big cocky head, and you're, invincibly like, dude, I'm doing the movie stuff now, Chuck Norris type stuff. Went out there, man, and the first 4 days were, pretty quiet. Didn't sleep much. We had about 35 minutes to an hour worth of sleep total, just tracking this guy down, man. We got on the 4th day. We met up with some Marines. some hardcore Marines who were out at this little fob base. They got ambushed and they got attacked every single morning. And me being the cherry E5 sergeant sniper team leader that I was, I volunteered to take me and my spotter out there to eliminate some of the threats that were attacking their fob. Made the phone call back to our headquarters, and we got cleared for the operation. We went out there with some Marine scout snipers who were, dude, some of the best snipers that I've ever had a chance to serve with, see, operate, and shoot with. Also competed with them in the international sniper competition. They ended up winning that competition. I think we got 4th place.
Wow.
Great guys, man. Precision shooters, by far some of the best precision shooters out there. Went out there. We got set up a little urban sniper hide. Nothing too fancy, nothing out of control. Just something simple. No loophole shoots or anything like that. Stayed out there all night. I think I went through an entire can of Copenhagen and an entire pack of Hodge cigarettes that were, the 20-year-old tobacco that doesn't taste like anything but just pure crap.
I love them.
That in like 3 hours, man.
Did you get into the bag, the green putty that they carried in the bag?
Yeah,
I just carry that, man, and when we'd run out, you'd borrow that from.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Dude, yeah. Oh man, good memories. We stayed out there for an additional 12 hours, and finally that morning, they decided to come out and attack. One of the longest shots that I had, or second longest shots that I had overseas, just under half a mile, or just right at half a mile.
Oh, wow.
Some Marines were coming to clear out this little compound where they had been attacking from. Saw a guy pop out with an RPG about 35, 40 meters away from a Marine Humvee, and he's, raising up his RPG about to fire. My spotter's giving me some really good wind calls and sent the one round, caught trace like right as it almost apexed, lost it, and then saw it impact the guy like center mass and collapsed like an 18-wheeler truck hit him.
Nice.
Fell from the sky and hit him. I was like, it's a pretty clean shot. Then we proceeded to get ambushed. We didn't have helmets on, so we got our commo guy on the bottom. He's chunking up helmets, and either I'm going to get knocked out by a Kevlar helmet or I'm going to get swacked in the head with a 7.62. Low crawling out.
Stuff like that, like in the movies, it's so graceful, right? Everything is graceful and planned out, and the chaos behind when it hits the fan, dude, is just duck on a pond, right?
Yeah. DD Mound back out to the Marine compound. They're like, dude, you blew the guy out his slippers or socks or something. The rest of the Rangers joined in on us to finish off our initial objective to go capture this HVT. We planned it out, did a quick hash plan, and headed out later on that night. And I remember being so tired, didn't have much water at all. I think I had 2 bottles of water, just extremely tired. My throat felt like I had swallowed a
not to cut you off, man. Is it winter or summer now?
Oh, this was summertime.
Yeah, all right.
This was summertime, Helmand Province.
Yeah.
2009. We headed out, and I remember the Marines took us out on deuce and a halves. Really uncomfortable rides, man.
Old school shit.
Old school, man. Basic training style. Get out there, and I remember stepping off, and it looked like a scene from Aladdin. If you ever go back and watch the movie Aladdin, not that you would at this age now, but if you did, watch the movie Aladdin.
I got kids, man.
I got 2 girls, bro. All I do is watch princess movies.
Got it right here, as a matter of fact.
Perfect, man. Yeah, dude. I remember getting off and seeing all these big sand dunes. Initially, we were going to walk in like 20-something miles, and I was like, scratch this mission, man. I'm, walking long distances, as ranger as we are, I hate walking long distances. It sucks. Luckily, we did not have to do that. But we walked a few clicks. I want to say it was close to 8 to 10 clicks, which is far when you're walking up and down sand dunes. We walked through the city, walked through those ravines, the water ravines that everyone tries to avoid. Walked through those a little bit. We finally reach our objective. And it sucks fighting in the daytime. There's nothing worse for me, small elements, is fighting in the daytime, man. I like operating at night.
Yeah, we're not set up for that.
Yeah,
that daytime stuff, and just out of curiosity, we didn't wear body armor either, or helmets. If we did have a helmet, it was Protect just to come out of the helo. That recon and the sniper elements, man, Pack light, freeze at night, move with purpose, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, same deal, man. Same deal. I think the SEALs had it way cooler than what we had.
Always.
You guys always got the guy equipment,
Never
man.
got that ever.
I was jealous of SEALs, man. Back in, I remember we worked a lot with SEAL Team 6 and I think it was SEAL Team 3, I believe. And watching you guys, you guys are all 6'6", and you guys all have the coolest gear ever. That's just, my thing that I did not like SEALs for. But now, later on in life, I'm like, SEALs are actually really cool guys.
Thank you. Yeah. We're glad we could adapt and turn it around for you, Nick.
What it's all about, man.
All right, so there you were. You're walking through 20 clicks. It's hot as shit. What happened?
We set up a blocking position while the assault element went in to capture the HVT. And as the sun's coming up, the locals started coming out, and I remember shining my laser, my red dot laser, on some dude on the moped, his chest. I circled his chest, then I circled his face. He kind of stopped, and he looked at me with this dead stare. And I knew at that moment something was about to go down, so we kind of hunkered down a little bit. Then I see this big gathering of about 10 individuals, man, like in a football huddle. And then all of a sudden, it was ready break. And I had this really weird feeling. I looked at my recon team leader. I'm like, dude, I think we're about to get ambushed. And he's like, yeah, we should hunker down. No shit. 30 seconds later, man, the grass started getting cut, like all around us. Just machine guns, RPGs. We had all types of stuff thrown at us. Full 360 ambush. We're getting hit pretty hard. We found this little hole that we had walked over, maybe 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep. If that, we all jumped in, who all could fit. It was 4 of us at the time. I'm on top of, my guys' bodies. They're on top of, I got legs on top of me, and I'm taking crack shots at guys. See a machine gun element about 800 meters, 500 meters, posting up around the buildings and starting to engage our position. And I remember thinking, this is it, man. We got pinned down. The one of the most fiercest gun battles that I've been in. Grass is snapping. I hear the loud pops. We had bullet holes in our clothes and stuff like that from the bullets passing through our clothing.
No way.
Yeah, man. Everyone on that mission had at least one bullet hole inside their pants or their shirt or something like that. We're starting to engage, and I call for air support. And during that time, I think the collateral damage was they could not accept anything more than a .0.
Oh, yeah. I remember when that started coming online.
Yep. Yeah, man. Could not accept any collateral damage, so I called in for a B-2 and F-16s. F-16s came over. They did a quick flyby. Not sure if they broke the sound barrier with all the chaos, but they flew over. Nothing happened. B-2 comes in. They pop flares to try to deter. What is that called? Show of force.
Right.
They did a show of force. Pop flares, kept going. I was like, dude. But when I first saw the B-2, I thought I was hallucinating. Looked like a UFO or something. And I'm a big UFO guy. And I was like, I think it's a UFO right there.
Get the camera. Hold on a second.
Time out, old Taliban's head. We're gonna get a snapshot. There's a UFO passing by.
Oh yeah. And he comes screaming in, man. Low on the deck. He's maybe a few hundred feet off the deck. Pops flares, does nothing.
Panel check.
Firefight intensifies, and we call in for our reinforcements. The assault element, a blocking position from the assault element. They denied that. They were like, hey, you guys got to fight your way out. And we're, starting to think that this is it. I'm running low on ammo. My spotter's starting to take, with shots that he can only hit 100 meters in. And then we're starting to hear footsteps. You can hear the pounding of their feet, running around our little position we were hunkered down in. And I'm like, dude, tell my parents, tell the wife, I fought hard. I think this is it. Pounded his fist, man. He's like, dude, no, your wife's Hispanic. It's not happening. She's going to kick my ass if I go in.
No way.
Oh, that's awesome.
So my recon team leader, he pulls out a grenade and he pulls out a smoke grenade. And we're debating on should we just take our own lives or try to pop smoke and get back to the main element. Man, that was not looking too good getting back. So we all, decided this is it. We're going to jump on this grenade last minute, pull the pin, try to take as many guys out as we can. Right before that happened, I look over my left shoulder and I see a machine gun team come in. It was led by Corporal Benjamin Kopp and a few other guys. They come, they said, have you ever seen the movie or the cartoon Roadrunner?
Yeah.
Where the Roadrunner's running and the dirt's kicking up behind him? that's what it looked like. These guys came in, slid in, they start laying down suppressive fire. I'm like, holy hell, man. That allowed us to bound back. So team leader Pop Smoke, Murphy's Law came into play. The wind blew the opposite direction we wanted it to.
Of course.
So we had no cover. We're just bounding back, and we were also pinned down by this guy who believed at the time was a Chechen enemy sniper. And he's like taking really, really good, precise shots at us. Me and the team leader, we rose our heads up, and a bullet snapped right between my face and his face. And
you lucky SOB.
Yeah, man. I went down. He goes down. The recon medic, he's like, who's hit? Who's hit? You know, someone had to have gotten hit. I'm thinking he thinks I'm hit. Luckily, nothing happened. We bound back to the machine gun team, and the weirdest thing happened. All the fire stopped. I was like, that's weird. And I kind of got not cocky. I was just caught up in the moment. Things got a little fuzzy, so I led the element out. And we started walking down this little tree line. And next to this tree line is a little ravine. Right when we make that little L-shaped turn, a dogleg turn, we get ambushed again. I see the ground pop up like old Vietnam style. They come out of the ground and they're taking, controlled pair shots at our guys. I'm like, 25, 35 feet away.
Whoa.
I dive headfirst into the ravine. It's about chest deep. And I didn't care how far or how deep the ravine went down. I was like, you know what? At this point in time, I don't care anymore. I just need to get down inside this ravine. Almost like you, Marcus, when you guys were jumping off the mountains and stuff like that.
Choice, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, screw that, And at that point,
I wrote something down earlier when you were talking about getting low and how many guys you had in one hole. Getting low, and it takes on a whole new meaning when that starts going in. My brother explained this to me the best way when the first time he ever got engaged. He goes, man, there was a rock about the size of my shoe, and I climbed in it.
Yep.
With my rifle. Everything fit. And then the first time you have to do that, when you're like, oh, I think I'm low, and then that bullwhip snaps on your head, you're like, watch how low I can get now, Jack.
You dig in with your chin.
Man.
All right, so you jump in there. What next?
I started engaging targets. I looked through my scope. I had an SR-25, nicknamed it Dirty Diana. Big Michael Jackson fan growing up. Named it Dirty Diana. And I start taking snapshots. I see, the scope would fill up with a human face. And I'd, crack that guy, move on to the next, move on to the next. I'm like, dude, these people have to run out of ammunition at some point in time. Not the case, man. The machine gun team that came in to save us, that was led by Cop, I see him. He's got his left leg up on the dry part of land, and his right leg is in the water. Looking over at him, I hear this loud snapping, and I'm thinking that it's an assaulter who's got his M4 right by my ear. I'm looking over, I'm like about to push this guy away, like, dude, I'm about to go deaf. And I look, no one's there, but I could see the ground exploding on the backside of the embankment. It's like crack shots going off from the enemy sniper and some AK fire. Kind of move off to the left a little bit. The next sound I heard was if you took a ruler and smacked it against a pillow. That's what it sounded like. And it was followed by a bunch of screams, and look over again. And I see this, 20-foot arterial spray of blood, shooting out of Cop's leg. He got struck twice in his femoral artery.
Oh, man.
With an AK round. He goes down, and that ravine we were in started to turn slowly into, just a dark, muddy blood red. Oh. And I could taste, it was almost like tasting pennies. I went under a little bit, and I could taste pennies. I was like, man, that's this guy's blood, Cop's blood. And the medic goes in, he starts to treat him. I push off to the right a little bit and start engaging more targets. I look back at my PL, my platoon leader, and he's talking. He's like, Irv, we got to get out of here. We got to go. I was going to lead our element out to the safe house that we had established after the main assault force captured our HVT. As I'm talking to him, I pull him in close to, scream in his ear, and I feel the splash of water hit my face. And I was like, maybe a bullet smacked the water or something like that. And then he just falls from my grasp. And as he falls down, I see this gaping hole in his chest.
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh, crap, man, this guy said. So I go down with him and kind of blacked out a little bit. And everyone says, you're not scared in combat or anything. Dude, I was scared, man. Like, I almost blacked out from just the shock of seeing, what just happened. Yeah, just what happened was just, just the shock of that.
That's unbelievable. I mean,
yeah.
keep going. I've got 1,000 questions, but I don't want to interrupt you, man. This is an amazing, amazing story.
Oh, thank you, man. So my spotter, Pemberton, he comes over and he sticks his fingers inside the hole to try to stop the bleeding. And I don't know who it was. I believe it was my reconnaissance medic, the reconnaissance commo guy comes over and he smacks me on the head. He's like, come on, let's go, get back in it. I snap out of it. And I remember thinking, am I going to be able to shoot this rifle that's been submerged, completely underwater, come back up? And the first shot that I took, this long super soaker type spray of water comes out the end. And it's like, that didn't explode, and just kept engaging targets.
Wow.
At that point in time, we started to drag our wounded out. The PL, he's still making phone calls, making sure everybody's okay, our comms calls. Cops, he's coming past us on this makeshift stretcher. And as he's passing by, he was a tanned, reddish guy. And as he's coming by me, I see him go by, and he's just pale, pale white.
Yeah.
And every time we had to get low where the embankment did not provide cover, we'd have to dunk him under, like, hey, dude, hold your breath, we're going under. We'd go under, come back up, and he's passed out. Medics are working on him, and that went on for about 300 meters. I'm dog tired, and I took the rear up, and I'm thinking, I hope Hodge just comes into this ravine and just sprays me, man. Get this thing over with. I debated sticking my hand up, to get my hand taken off or something like that, to just get out of there, man, get medevac. But I started to think, well, if I get hit in my hand, what if the bullet goes in and hits an artery or something? So I don't want to do that. Kept fighting. I'm down to 2 mags at this point. I went in with 210 rounds. So now I have 40 rounds left. Take the lead. We sprint across to this safe house that I was going to establish. Me and my spotter were going to establish a higher position to, start swaylaying on these dudes. And I looked at my spotter. I'm like, dude, when we get up here, we're killing every single bad guy we lay eyes on. He's like, roger that. We run out. We got suppressive fire coming off the rooftop as we're running in. Go into the safe house. We find a ladder that we didn't even have. It was one of the locals' ladders. We climbed up on the rooftop, put in that last fresh mag, man, and spotter comes up with this 300 Win Mag, and we were engaging targets from 20 feet all the way to about a mile.
Wow.
And we could see big not SUVs, vans and Hilux vehicles coming in with offloading ammo, offloading guns and RPGs, and guys coming in. Everyone's running really low on ammo. And the Ranger mentality, SEAL mentality, Spec Ops mentality, it's, you stay to the last man until the mission's complete, all bad guys are done. And at that point, I was like, well, we don't have any ammo. Guys are talking about we're about to start going hand-to-hand combat, which had occurred. Didn't find out till later. Some guy threw a grenade. It got thrown back. He threw it back at him. Guy turned into Picasso on the side of the embankment. Guys are drowning guys. The chaplain was there. I think he swacked a few guys, and the combat camera guy.
Getting heavy when that comes in.
Yeah, he put down his camera, grabbed a rifle from one of our wounded guys, and he starts, engaging targets as well. So we're fighting for 12 hours now. Made the final decision to just head back, called in for the Marine element that dropped us off to come in and get us. When they found out where we were, the report we got back was, whoa, we didn't know you guys were going there. We're not allowed to go in there with anything less than a brigade. And we got 35 guys, and they said that we have to run about almost a mile to where they were allowed to go. And this is through all open, terrain, all open field. Start downgrading. I'm down to about 10 rounds at this point. My spotter's down to 2 rounds. I take the lead. I'm like, screw it. If it happens, it happens. If I get hit, I get hit. I take the lead. I start sprinting out. They put me up front because they were like, it's a black guy, probably sprint pretty fast, which is true. So I take lead. Yeah, I take lead, and I start heading out, and snapshots are coming at us. I'm engaging a few targets when I could, and it's the fastest I've probably ran a mile ever in my life. I don't think I've ever ran or could run that that time again. It was like Olympic speeds, man. Get there, and when we get there, we got 35 guys plus some guys we had captured, and there's like 4 Humvees there, and each Humvee already is full to capacity. They got their Marines in there, so you got driver, TC, machine gunner, and we have to fit 35 guys into these vehicles plus our detainees. I'm like, dude, this is reminding me a lot like Black Hawk Down. Guys are piling
sounds
in.
familiar.
Oh yeah, piling in. Guys are on top of vehicles. I had a 50 cal machine gunner Marine standing on my chest. My head's on my spotter's lap, and my legs are across some other guy's lap. Nathan is his name. Cross him, and the only thing I wanted at that point was a cigarette. I'm like, dude, somebody in here has to have a cigarette. Mine got soaked in the ravine. Marine passes me a smoke, light it, smoke it, and I go to flick it out this is where it really gets bad. I flick it out the hatch and totally forgot how wind works and stuff like that. Cigarette falls back in, it gets inside my body armor, my shirt, and I'm starting to burn. I'm like, dude, I'm on fire. I'm screaming. And they think that I'm hit. And I'm like, no, I'm cigarette, chest. So they start pouring the water on me, man. We're driving through this little town, get back. And it was like, when we got back to the compound, it was like nothing ever happened. The guys went back. I stayed for an additional couple of hours with my reconnaissance team. Couldn't sleep for a while after that. Still stayed awake. Went out on a few more missions after that, man. But we got word on July 9th. No, it was July 18th. July 18th, 2009, we got word that Ben Kopp didn't make it. So he died.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he ended up dying days later. But his whole thing was, getting out. He didn't want to die in combat. No one wants to die in, Afghanistan. No one wants to die in Iraq, in that dirty, dirty place. So he at least made it back out, man, gave his last breath with family and away from that environment. 21 years old, man. That's when he died. We had 3 casualties that day. Everyone else lived but him. Got his name tattooed on, my arm. I wear his bracelet. I have his hat that his mom sent me in his diary. Impacted my life greatly because everyone on that mission should have never, ever made it back, especially that little hole we were in. And I remember, did a few interviews after that, talked to a few people, and me telling them, a piece of me did die in Afghanistan. I don't think that I should be here and all this and that, but, it is what it is, man. That's just war. And it sucks that it happens to be that way. But I look at life now and I'm like, you know what? I didn't quit. I went through a really, really hard time after I got out, did the whole, alcohol abuse and self-medication and attempted suicide and all that stuff, man, at one point in my life. Yeah, there you go, man.
Me too, brother.
Been there. Yep. Did that. And 2016, I have a son, and now I'm living for him, type deal. It's just it's a weird full circle type of way of thinking. But that was my no quit. As much as I wanted to quit, it was my greatest no quit, a story, man. That in Ranger School. I went to quit in Ranger School every single day and lost 35 pounds there. But compares nothing to combat, man.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Yeah, nothing, man. Looking at Marcus in that movie, watching that movie brought back so many memories, and I could relate so greatly to that. It's like, dude, I've been there, fought in those mountains, and
that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about that. I go, and the way I look at it is, especially being reconnaissance was the cool part about it, because we walked across the same ground that all those armies did before us. We got a chance to fight in those places that all those great warriors did, man. And the one thing when I was listening to you talk, the mud and the blood combo, that copper taste. I remember when I looked at Mikey, was talking to me, and his teeth it was covered. You can't see the whites of the teeth. I was like, oh man, I hope my teeth don't look like that. In the middle of that, I was like, oh yeah, it's bad, dude.
Hey, you got a toothbrush?
And then, man, there was plenty of times. It's funny. It took till you get into the when you were getting burned on your chest, the hot brass samba. I mean, dude, you want to get out of everywhere when that when you start catching on fire on your chest, man.
It just sticks, man. It just sticks. The bolts in there. Yeah.
Well, Nick, when I hear that story, one, just thanks for sharing that with us and with our listeners.
Epic,
that's powerful, and I know there's thousands of details that you left out to be courteous of us in this time. And as you're in that moment, and obviously what I really appreciate most about how you described it were those pivotal moments in your mind where you're like, you know what, I'm going to stick my hand up, or, we're going to pull this grenade and we're going to go out, like sailor, and, but you didn't. And one of the moments that really sticks out in my mind was the burst of motivation you got from watching Kopp's heroism, right?
Yeah.
The way he came out in charge, and the way I loved the visual of the Roadrunner spinning his wheels to get there as fast as he could to save your life.
Yeah.
Why do you think Kopp did that?
I think about it every day, every second. There's not ever, a time where I don't think about it. And it's just the brotherhood, you know. In that moment, nothing else matters. You might have a fight with that guy, or you might have an argument with that guy. You might love this guy like, your own. But at that point in time, it's all about the brotherhood. And it's so hard for those who haven't been there to understand what that brotherhood means. And to me, it's just when you're willing to sacrifice your life, which he did. He ran through about 800 meters to 1,000 meters of heavy machine gun fire. I mean, these guys are shooting as they're walking and running. He sacrificed, he didn't care about his own life to save us. And I mean, I would have done it, in return, and any of the guys would. But it's just a brotherhood, man, that it can't be understood. It's hard to describe. It's hard to explain, but it's just a brotherhood, man. The love. We've all been through the same training. We've all, done the same stuff and chewed the same dirt together. Why not? Why not?
One of the
I was telling somebody one day about it is, and then the hardest part about it, when you say you left a part of yourself, and we function out in normal society, the part that you leave, I was sitting around thinking about this one time. The soldier's cry, when you see a soldier laying down by his buddy and he's looking up, reaching up, and that scream you got, man, the part you leave behind, that's your soul being ripped out, right?
That's it.
Part of you that every good and bad moment that you go through with those guys, because it's a lot, right, is ripped away from you right there. It ends right there, and you see it happen. That's the difference, right? It's not dying in a hospital bed when you're old, you've already moved on. It's like right there. And it's all those powerful points that, man, when that part hits, it's just, that's what gets ripped out of you. And that fear you were talking about, the craziest part about that whole deal is when you're in the middle of something crazy like that, and then you become afraid.
Yeah.
It got turned up, right? And the fear part is what we harness. That's what makes us good at what we do. When you pass that to the, I had that too. There was one time I was afraid.
Yeah.
It's just, it's in the end moments, right? Pulling the pin on a grenade. I had to do that too.
Did you really?
Yeah, with Gulab. I didn't know. Remember, I don't ever talk about that, man, but I pulled that pin. And when you go to the end moment, when it's like me, this grenade, and then everybody else who walks up on me, and I had to repin it. You're like, you're only supposed to have one end moment in your life, right? The end.
Yeah.
When you roll through multiple of those, that's the perspective that we have.
No, it changes your life. I mean, you never look at life the same after moments like that. You get out to the civilian world, man, and I look at it like, what can you not do at this point in time? You've already been there, done that. You've done the extreme. What can you not do at this point in time?
Well, that's the mantra you got to tell yourself. Sure. But getting to the point where you accept that's a long road, man.
Well, ultimately, what you need to know when you get out, man, and transcribe, just like what he said, is like, now we know how far we can be pushed before we break in every direction, right? So in the civilian world, it's hard to get pushed that far unless you go back to a comedy.
Well, the rules are so different. The rules are so different. They're actually, which is twisted and not is counterintuitive to most human dynamics. The rules of the civilian world don't apply to us. We don't function. We weren't born into those rules. We were born out of them through the crucible of training, and then
trained out of it,
and then the forging of combat. Man, it rewrites your code.
So it hammers it in there. Normally, when no combat, you flip the switch, right?
Right.
What the combat part does is snaps you into that forever, right? And breaks that mold in those guys. When you come back, it's that transition part that's hard. But once you realize what has actually happened is that you've been tested to the end and made it through there. So you know how far your body can go and your mind can go. And then accepting that part, which we left behind, and moving into the civilian, like with the kids, right? It's just everything you learned. It may have been a tactical thing, but you can implement it into that raising that kid.
Raising children. Dude. That's what I try every day. The problem is like
the sleep part is what we were laughing about earlier. Like, man,
when you get, I'm gonna wait for 5 days straight, but it's totally different. Totally different.
All right, Nick. When you're going through training and you're thinking about, all right, this is awesome. I know I'm going to war. I'm excited. I'm stoked. When did the reality of war hit you to where it altered your true perception of it?
I want to say the first dead guy I saw. I did 6 combat deployments. Did 6 deployments. The first one was more or less like wow, I remember seeing all this stuff on CNN, like the night vision and the tracers and stuff. I was like, oh, this is just like TV. It's not that bad. Killed a few guys at deployment, and the second deployment, or ending that first deployment, is when I saw my first dead guy. One of the snipers had shot a guy who was holding a child. He was trying to hide behind his child and shoot him. So our sniper, his name was Alex, he shot him, dumped the guy over the ledge, and when he landed, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a real dead body. I've never, seen one of those before. I was just staring at it like, this is real life. Things can happen. Second deployment is when, very first day in the country, we went out, did a daylight operation. I was a striker driver for this one, part-time striker, part-time machine gunner. And very first operation, the lead striker got blown up by an IED. And that was, watching a 40-ton vehicle get lifted off the ground. I was like, oh, whoa, this is, right in front of me. It's like, this is real life, man.
Yeah.
That same deployment, one of our guys got hit. Then we started deploying to Afghanistan. We went to Jalalabad, Bagram, all those areas, man. Kandahar, Bagram, Jalalabad. It was that's where it was like a different element, and you got a chance to see different sides of the enemy. Iraq was like, city fighting. Afghanistan was, this is no, shit scary, open field fighting. You can't really see the enemy that well. You're just getting shot at, and it's a frustrating way of fighting. Really, really good guerrilla warfare. Did a few more deployments there, off and on, back to Iraq, back to Afghanistan. But first dead guy was the first time I thought, yeah, this is really combat. And then losing someone, that was surreal. Most of the time it was fun because you're around your brotherhood and you feel like Superman. You're like, dude, I'm a cool guy, And when you get back off of an operation, and as you're driving around the camp or on base, and all the guys who don't go out and fight, they're looking at you like, whoa, those guys are, you could tell those guys use their weapons,
That's cool. That's cool.
Good feel, man.
What was the pivotal moment for you making the decision, all right, I'm done, I need to get out?
2009. After losing COP, we averaged about 120 missions per 90 days. And that last mission, after hitting rock bottom and saying, dude, this is this is starting to hit home and starting to get up here a little bit. Things changed at the house. Wasn't the same. Became really, really aggressive and picked up some bad habits. After that, I was like, you know what, I'm done. Got out, and money got really, really tight. And it's like, well, I'm back in. So I picked up private military contracting. Did that for a little bit. Was done with that, and I was like, dude, I'm making six figures, and I'm early 20s. And that was the problem, being in my early 20s, have no concept of money management.
Yeah.
Blew all that. Woke up one day, take the wife to work, and no car in the driveway. Didn't pay the bills and couldn't afford it. House was about to get foreclosed on. I was like, I got to do something else. I'll start up my own company and write a book. So I self-published like 5 books, had some little small businesses going on. The self-published books, they didn't do too well. They paid gas and they paid for food and stuff like that. My parents helped out a lot, gave me money and stuff. But then it came to the point, I'm a man. Like, I came from doing all this stuff to being shut down and relying on my parents for financial support. Kind of hurt. And even my wife at that time, it's like, she's helping me, fund a bad habit, whether it be alcohol or whatever is out there. I felt really bad, man. So I think that was the turning point where I have to do something. And I was around Chris Kyle's time. Like, I heard Chris Kyle's name when I was in Iraq, Devil over Mahdi. And I was like, dude, there's no way this guy's swaylaying this many guys. It's turned out to be, he's really swaylaying some dudes, And I was like, I want to catch up to that guy. Didn't happen, by far. Did not happen. But, I met Chris before he passed, and, out here in Texas, and it was actually a Navy SEAL, man, who read the book, the self-published one, and got me in contact with St. Martin's Press. And it's been onward and upward from there, man.
Well, that's great to hear, man, because it gives a lot of people, especially our brothers that are out there, that are struggling. Because as you and I and Marcus all know, there's a lot of guys that aren't successful right now, that are struggling because they can't shake those demons that translate into bad behavior, right? So
yeah, the worst thing we do is when we spend our entire lives becoming together a cohesive unit, and that's just anybody who walks in. I mean, the training and to stick together, and then immediately when you're out, they separate us. Maybe by design. Who knows?
Yeah.
Man? But the beautiful part about social media and everything we're doing now is we're reconnecting. So we're bringing those guys in who want to get up and keep moving and making it happen, because we don't slow down.
Well, you can't, because if you do, if you become stagnant, especially us, then those memories, that consciousness of what you're not involved in anymore, it comes back with a vengeance.
Well,
dude.
it's hard to get around the fact that you know what you're capable of, and then you get home and you're not doing anything.
Yeah. And dude, I mean, since I've been out, I've lost 12 plus guys from suicide, and they just get out, they hit that stagnant point of their life, and they get separated from the brotherhood. Not even the brotherhood. It's just not doing that job. It's a very fast paced job, and you just stop, it's a hard transition.
I just lost my biggest mentor from the teams, just drank himself to death in May. And, this was, and it was a battle that, I struggled with him. I was with him contracting in Afghanistan and, in 2010 when I first saw it. This guy, 27 years in the teams, another 6 years with the agency, and I saw it happening. So I start reaching out, and then it got worse and worse, and he got some injuries and worse, and he started losing that warrior. Like he literally thought he wasn't a warrior, wasn't capable anymore. And this guy used to have a great mind, and just goes. And then 2 years, 2 years ago, it started for real, and we just couldn't pull him out. And it was, what's crazy is, when you do have the love of your brothers and you're in that space, how you can literally shut off the truth that they're feeding you because of your own self-worth issue that you got going. And that's the big challenge, I think. So it's
it's tough to be relevant all the way up to the very day. And then the longer you're in, the more relevant you are, and the responsibilities you have, and then you sign that piece of paper, and then you're not relevant. I mean,
well, you're not relevant
to the team, and
So
you got to go out and reapply it, and on your own. Used to be like, all right, if I'm going to a new command, I get trained up in this and ready to go, man. That's all I need.
So Nick, let me ask you this: you certainly have amassed an incredible amount of knowledge as an operator and a proficient sniper and a ranger. How are you taking? What are the 3 or 4 greatest lessons learned that you took from that experience that you're now applying every day in your life? What are some of those great things that are translatable for the civilians listening to this show?
Yeah, I would say that never quit attitude, man. Just knowing that, I know as SEALs, you guys preach that a lot, that your body can go 10 times further than what, you may tell yourself, or, I want to quit and go 10 times further than that. Just never quitting it. And there's always light somewhere at some end of some tunnel. There's tunnels that we go under, overpasses. That's fast light. Then we have tunnels that are underground for miles and miles and miles. Eventually, you're going to hit that light at some point in time. There's always light at the end of some tunnel, man. It just takes longer for some others to get there. Having that mindset, living up to what you believe you're worth. If you believe you're worth, whatever, that's what you should be worth. Don't let anybody else tell you you're not. I was told from a long time ago in school and all the way up to now that you're not going to be able to do this. I graduated with the 1.7 GPA in high school, and I shouldn't be a New York Times bestselling author and author multiple times over. Done that. I shouldn't be where I am today. Don't know how, but it is what it is, and it's knowing what you're worth. I think that I'm worth whatever. Marcus, you think you're worth, billion times over than what the average person may think of themselves. It's just what your perception is of yourself. If you wake up every morning and you pass by the mirror before you go take a leak in the morning, and you look in that mirror and you see something that, should be better or something you're proud of, be that person. Don't be the person that everyone else tells you are. Right. Everyone's got an opinion about something, and at the end of the day, there's only one person that's going to be in that casket when they close it. It's not going to be that guy who said this or this guy who said that. It's just just you. So live for what you believe you want to do.
I love that. I mean,
that's exactly what was control your reality.
That's amen.
Control your reality.
So, Nick, where are you going from here? What's next for you? What's on the immediate? What's on the 100-yard line, and what's on the 1,000-yard line right now?
Yeah, man. So just picked up a new book deal that's doing like the Tom Clancy style of writing and diving into that, because I think that, we've all wanted to be that superhero, that Superman in the special operations community. And we think of guys like, man, these guys are what the civilians think, we are. When I was growing up, someone told me, I was like, how cool are Navy SEALs? How badass are these guys? And I was told that they could be living in your closet or your attic and you would never know about it. So I want to, take that and put it just into to script.
Creative.
Did a few movies, man. Just now I did a TV show with John Cena.
Rourke was in that with you, wasn't he?
Denver, man. Yeah, Diesel. Did a movie with Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy who played Quicksilver. And the director was Doug Lyman, who did The Firstborn Identity. Oh. I'll be in that a little bit. Did Transformers. Navy SEALs hooked me up with the movie Transformers. Just
Were you with Kevin and Andy
Kevin
and all
Kent,
those? Yeah.
Ty Smith, Kevin Kent,
Yeah.
Andy, all those guys.
Good mugs, man. Yeah. Awesome mugs.
Yeah. All those guys, man. Great guys. Really great guys. Did that and worked on a little movie script that I wrote. And not that I want to be a big time Hollywood guy. I just like the way things work in that realm, like the way production goes from point A to the finished product. I just like that process. It's a process. The way a sniper thinks about how to make a 1,000-yard shot or how to make a 1.1 mile shot. Like the furthest shot that I ever took was 2,022 yards. The math that it took to get to that point was what I was more interested in, opposed to squeezing the trigger and watching the bullet fly. It was the getting up to that part is what I like the most.
Cool. The
end result's just a ting on a piece of steel, but I like the gears behind that, the gears behind all that.
Well, I'm really stoked for you because you found this amazing outlet to take your past experience, to do what you love, hang out with the boys, right? I mean, it seems like you're surrounding yourself with a great group of people. And where can people follow you? Are you on Instagram and Facebook? I know I follow you on all of them, but just can you tell everybody where you're at?
Yeah, Instagram, official Reaper 33. Facebook is just my name, Nicholas Irving. And I believe my Twitter account is Irving_Nicholas.
Awesome.
I'm not sure. Yep. Twitter's weird to me, man. Twitter's weird.
It's a whole different cultural way of communicating. But anyways, whatever you choose to do, Nick, I know you're going to be successful at it. I feel blessed for you and your family, your new family. I also, feel God's going to bless you and continuing to move past all the darkness, and you can't ever get rid of it, but now you can. It doesn't own you anymore. And man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, we're rooting for you. And man, I'll tell you what. After you, the next big thing, we'll be fine. We'll get you back on and talk about what that's like.
Yeah, whatever we can do to help, man.
Same to you guys, man. God bless, man.
Awesome.
Take care.
God bless you, brother. Later. How do you? I don't know.
I mean,
you've been in those environments multiple times, and I had a cool career and all that, but I've never been in that where I was pinned down and getting late, and all that, and dudes dropping like flies around me. And so when I hear that, man, I'm just like, damn, man. But yet remember
what we were talking about earlier, the perspective of a sniper and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and his ability to tell the story. So you can tell he sat back and watched everything as it was unfolding. And
he was digesting it, right?
Sure. And then, everybody has great stories, man. The ability to tell them like that and what he did and pull that in. 'Cause you could feel it.
Oh, 100%. 100%, right? I mean, because, losing that dude who saved his life, I mean, that was weight. You could hear the weight on him.
Sure.
But he worked through it. I mean, in his own unique way. And unlike a lot of guys out there that aren't able to work through it, and he did. And he's still working through it, obviously. But man, what a remarkable thing. And man, I just, the one that really stuck out to me was that sprint. He said that was the fastest mile I've ever run.
Well, they are. It was reminding me of something we had to do one time. Same kind of thing, man. Just, you can do a mile pretty quick when you have to.
Oh, you have to, right? I mean, if you don't.
It popped into my head the whole time he was talking, and you kind of mentioned this a minute ago. When guys get out, it's that in the military, we're trained for a day-to-day operation, right?
Yes.
Makes sense when you get out. I see how guys get twisted up kind of deal if you don't have a day-to-day operation going on.
Well, the regiment, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And a lot of it was fed to us.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So, and that's what I did a lot of times when I got back out. I went to my regiment. I boiled it all the way down to checking the air pressure in my wife's tires every morning. Taking the kids to school, mowing the grass, taking out the garbage. We were talking about it.
Taking out the I mean,
everything.
The checkoff list just to live a functional, goal-oriented lifestyle is down to the minutia.
So high pace, right? It's like, what do we say? It's hitting a brick wall at 100 miles an hour when you get out. It really is, man. Everything just kind of I need some intensity over here, damn.
Yeah, right? And your intensity is, all right, I got to manage my emotions surrounded by people that I feel are 100 times more inadequate or deficient than I am. But yet, the society flips it around and says, I'm the dysfunctional one. And that's challenging. I mean, I battled with that for years when I first got out.
And it's got to be really tough on the guys that get hurt and get out before you're mentally ready for it.
Oh, bro, that was me.
I see the guys who are retired. If you're mentally ready to get out, those guys don't have any drop. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, you got the institutionalization of it then, because then they can't find out, all right, how do they recreate the patterns that you were talking about in a meaningful way? It's on them.
I get that, but I'm talking about the guys who have to get out after you get hurt after that next day.
Yes,
man, that part is just not.
I can't imagine. It was taken away from you. You got like Justin, right? Leg. He had achieved his dream, then all of a sudden.
You want to talk about boiling all down when new set of lungs.
Just breathe. I mean, that's incredible.
Man, our guests, man, they're just something else. Every time. And Nick's no exception, man. He took it to a different level.
He did, and he continues. So, I can't wait to watch how he's going to progress and keep doing more and keep teaching and keep doing well. I think he's just one of those squared away dudes that, is able to tell a story to help people out there be inspired.
Sure.
To be inspired to
imagine if you open up a door for that dude, he'll hit it full force.
I mean, how can he not? I mean, look at how many times he cheated death and has now come through and realizes the gift and the blessing that God has given him, especially with his new little kid.
Yeah,
I mean, he's reborn, which is awesome. And that's what we hope you're hearing right now if you're listening. We hope you hear that you can do it too, that you can overcome those obstacles, you can face your adversity, that you can rise up and tap into that fire in your gut that's inside all of us. I mean, that's why we're having Nick Irving on. That's why Marcus and I are sharing our stories with you, because we want you to believe in yourself. We want you to believe that you too possess the never quit attitude, the never quit mindset, the never quit ability to endure the combat of life. So before we finish and wrap it up, Marcus, Wizard gave us another amazing write-in that I'm going to read through and just sit back and listen to the story if you could, please. Dear David and Marcus, and this is from a guy named Tim Wanacott. Dear David and Marcus, I submit my story with true honor and humility. My story began years ago when, as a child, I would ride my bicycle to the local firehouse and watch the fire engine roll out with their lights and sirens flashing. I was in awe. This went on for years, and it was anchored in my soul that being a firefighter was my calling. I began learning all I could about the selection process for becoming a full-time paid firefighter. My dad told me from the very early age that he had no doubt I could achieve whatever I set my stubborn mind to, but he underscored that I could never give up. I began testing with local fire departments, and to my discouragement, was not making the cut with the overall process. I had tested with law enforcement agencies as well. Because of this time, I had a daughter at home, and although not my dream job, I did manage to get on the police department. Over the next 9 years, I continued to test with local fire agencies. But after years of serving the community and home stress, I began noticing a horrible feeling of chest pains and anxiety. I continued burning the candle at both ends and went through a very painful divorce. In 1999, it completely crashed. I suffered a complete breakdown. I was diagnosed with PTSD from years of calls and death and stress. After owning a home as a young, hardworking man, I lost everything and ended up at my parents' couch. I was in a state of anxiety 20 hours a day, sleeping for a couple hours here and there. I went from a strong 225-pound cop to 160 pounds of depressed mess. After 7 months of hell, my dad sobbed and prayed for my healing. He picked me up off the couch and forced me to go to the garage. He looked at me in the eyes. "Don't give up, son. Not ever." He had me work with my hands, forced me to start doing push-ups, get medicated, and eat. I slowly crept my way to health, each day a battle. My dad with me each step. In 2002, despite the odds, I tested at the top of the list and was sworn in as a full-time firefighter. Tears ran down my dad's eyes. In 2005, after thriving at the fire department, enjoying my calling, I noticed my dad had become depressed and anxious. This was the result of caring for my mom, who ended up in the ICU. After a recovery, I convinced my dad to come help me on the side job, urban logging and tree work. I wanted him to get out and make a few bucks with his hands. I felt it was my turn to minister to him. In April 19, 2005, I went to grab lunch and Dad decided to work through. Little did I know that it was the last time I would see him alive. During my lunch break, a piece of equipment malfunctioned and he was killed instantly. I was sickened and screamed to God violently. I lived with such guilt, anxiety, and depression. Despite all this, I heard my dad's voice exclaiming, "Don't give up." I die to that daily. Fast forward, years of death, trauma, too many calls, countless runs on the fire engine. In August of 2015, I attended the Patriot Tour. I immediately fell in love with the never quit ideal as what I knew growing up. I put the sticker on my truck and shared the concept with my mates at the firehouse, especially my trainees. In September 2015, the bell rang at the firehouse. It was a call made our hearts tear in two. Dispatch advised 5-year-old boy was stuck under a minivan screaming for his dad. The van had hit the child and rode across his bike as he rode across his bike in an intersection. This occurred in front of his father, who witnessed the accident. The child was dragged 40 feet and ended up wrapped under the van, being burned by the engine block. His dad and bystanders lifted the van and extricated him. The boy's screams gave way to becoming a trauma code. The boy's dad and police officer began CPR. Hearing the update, I drove the fire engine way beyond SOP. Upon my arrival, myself and my captain grabbed the boy and began CPR, interventions, and worked the trauma code. I was sickened to see the child that was a fellow firefighter. I began to cry as I worked on the little guy. I remember my dad's words. I remember the sticker on my truck, and I just kept telling the little fella, "Do not give up. Don't quit on us." I was praying to God, "Let him live. Please let that heart beat." After a quick assessment, I was amazed to feel a pulse. All I could do was hand him to our medics, who arrived and rushed him to the trauma center. I kept repeating to him, "Don't quit. Don't give up." I spent sleepless nights, sick in the visions of the call. My prayer was the most honest, simple, and heartfelt cry. "Please let him live. We need hope, God." I remember the sadness and pain of my dad's death. I needed a good outcome. To my amazement, months after the accident, the little guy flew back home to Boise. I was invited to meet him and the family at the airport. I saw my hero walk up in the jetway. This little guy embodies the never quit spirit I am blessed with and to have been a small part of. Please know there are thousands of first responders out there who need podcasts like this. It truly makes a difference. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. And that was from Tim Wanacott. Now, brother, I read that story and I know that God exists. I know that God exists to inspire all humanity to never quit. But you just can't give up, right?
What's that going to get you? Look how far he's got. I mean, that says a lot about him, the kind of man he is. Every time he gets hit, keeps getting back up. And what he does for a living. That in itself.
I mean, that is the epitome of the never quit mindset. That is living with the never quit attitude. Now, I hope as a listener, you
got my inspiration for the week.
Right there, man. That guy right there. Much less Nick Irving, much less you, much less me. How about his story right there? And I'll tell you what, You have that story inside you. You listening right now. It's deep, it's down. You feel like you're in the bottom of the endless abyss and lack of hope, but it's there. Just summon it. Light that fire in your gut through these stories, through this podcast, and climb out and live with true purpose. And I promise you, Marcus and I believe in you. And we know that if you do it, you too will have the never quit mindset.
Yep.
I want to thank God for the inspiration and Christ in my heart. I want to thank my beautiful children and my family. I want to thank Marcus, and I want to thank the Wizard. I want to thank all of you listeners who are making us one of the top podcasts out there. I want to thank our guest, Nick Irving, and all the other guests. I want to thank Tom and telling his story. I just want to thank everything and everybody that has gotten me to this place, because it has taught me the never quit mindset. Marcus?
Great show.
Wow.
Yep, all the way top to bottom. So thanks to everybody for bringing us back on and keeping us around. That really means a lot. I swear to God, man, I think that's really cool of them to do that. And Nick, you're the man, brother. That was fun. It's always get those Army guys on there and bring a little levity to this room. So thanks for doing that. Thanks to the wife for letting Rhett come over all the time. And thanks to the good Lord above for giving me all my talents, and for my friends for helping me find them. And I'm out.
I'm out.
Never quit.